Two issues here. One, the pardon, clemency, commutal of sentence by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The gazettes have now been issued. 175 persons originally on the list, now 120. Now, where did the Attorney General and Minister of Justice of the Federation, where did he go wrong? Because he was the chairman of that committee. And yesterday we were saying on this program that there should be sanctions, that committee on the prerogative of mercy should be disbanded and new persons should be appointed. Because what we have seen, as many have argued, not just us on this table, is a case of dereliction of duty, exposing the president of Nigeria to utter embarrassment. That's one. The second one is about the demolitions in Abuja and in Lagos, either in Owuronshiki or Trade Fair, which have both attracted ethnic, religious interpretations. Well, you have been defending the powerless, but what remedy is available to them? Particularly in Lagos State, where the government is saying that, look, they are defending the rule of law and that they have powers under the Supreme Court ruling of 2013 to determine the quality of physical planning in Lagos State. But you seem to have a different opinion. And Lagos State says we have even paid compensation anyway. So what are the lawyers saying?
Well, thank you very much. First of all, we have to realize that we are operating under a democratic system of government. By virtue of Section 43 of the Constitution, every Nigerian has the fundamental right to live in any part of the country, to acquire property in any part of the country. This is also guaranteed by Article 14 of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights. Now, the entire provisions of Chapter 4 cannot be derogated from. None of the provisions of Chapter 4 can be violated or breached by the government without following due process. In other words, when it comes to demolition, there are provisions of the law in Lagos and the FCT, and indeed in all states in Nigeria. With respect to Lagos, you have the urban and regional planning law. In Abuja, you have the Urban and Regional Planning Act. Under both laws, there are specific provisions dealing with giving of statutory notices and bodies to entertain complaints. And if those complaints fail, it is the appeal committee that can order demolition. No governor, no minister has the power under the current constitutional arrangement or legal system to decide that Dr. Reuben Abati's house has not complied, or in the building of the house has not complied with certain provisions of the law. Therefore, I'm going to demolish the house. Nobody has such power in Nigeria. You have to go to court to say the owner of this house has violated the law. We want to demolish the house in line with the provisions of the law. And the court will look at it and say, please go ahead. But in the case of Abuja and Lagos, in the case of Abuja, there is a regional and urban tribunal set up by the government to determine when a house should go down. In Abuja, the minister he cannot usurp the powers of that regional tribunal, In fact, in 2017, the Attorney General of the country made rules and for the procedure that will operate in that tribunal. That tribunal is here. We have, and is constituted by competent people in the building industry. Now, that body is not allowed to perform its functions. So it is illegal on the part of the minister to say, I'm going to continue to demolish houses. In fact, the illegality was taken to a very embarrassing level when recently the minister ordered or threatened to seal off 34 embassies in Abuja, or 34 buildings hosting embassies in Abuja, and I had to come out to warn the government against violating the provisions of the Vienna Convention. It does not allow you to collect ground rent.
All right.
Or taxes collected from citizens.
Oh, he hasn't responded.
And I pointed out that those embassies are extraterritorial. You can't move there and say, oh, because you have not paid ground rent, I will seal you off. No, you can't seal off a building in Nigeria without a court order. So, coming back to Lagos, in this particular instance, those whose houses were going to be demolished, those who were not paid compensation, ran to us, to our law firm, and we took their instructions and approached the Lagos State High Court. And the court saw the urgency and the need to preserve the rest. So on Thursday last week, the court granted an order. Thou shalt not do it until this matter will be properly heard. On Friday, the following day, certified true copies of the orders were served on appropriate government agencies and officials. But on Saturday night, in the dead of the night, bulldozers invaded Oworoshoki.
Okay.
And when I got information,
Okay,
I called government official. You cannot do it.
Okay,
We have served you the order.
Mr. Falana, just to save time.
And one of them threat, we are going to do it. Heavens will not fall.
Well, we'll see whether heavens will fall. Heavens never fall around here. And people in power get away with what they want to do. But to take you back very quickly to the Attorney General of the Federation and the list of pardon, clemency, and commutal of sentences. Do you see dereliction of duty here? Do you think that heads must roll? What do you think is responsible for the sloppiness or the shoddiness, as I prefer to say?
Well, it is not the first time that that exercise has been mishandled. But this time around, the country was exposed to odium. And there was no basis for it. Those who were not deserving of pardon were recommended for pardon. No. I mean, I take one for instance. The EFCC had prosecuted a guy for 11 years. He was convicted in April this year and sentenced to terms of imprisonment. His name was on that list. Victims, those who were convicted under state laws found their way. Were put on the list. Now, by virtue of Section 212 of the Constitution, only the governor of a state can pardon people convicted for stealing, obtaining by false pretenses, murder, or culpable homicide. But all those names were there. Now, it is not enough to say we have reviewed the list. we now want to reduce 175 names or thereabout to 34. And we begin to clap for the government. The government owes itself a duty to ensure that such colossal embarrassment does not occur again. And the only way you can do that is to take some actions to teach some lessons and to let the whole country know that, and we want to apologize for embarrassing the country. The very least the Attorney General of the country can is to apologize. It's not enough to say, oh, we are going to review the list. Oh, we have now reviewed the list. And that's all. No. It's not done that way.
All right, sir. All right, sir. Thank you so much, Mr. Falana. Always great to have you on the show. Now, my question would be then that in the Lagos State situation, especially in Oron-Shoki, there's said to be a court order that's still being contested. And it was said that the Lagos State government, despite the court order, went ahead with a midnight demolition. Are there any legal consequences for this? Because we keep talking about the respect for the rule of law and, like you said earlier, following due process. However, there must also be consequences in the event that this was not followed. Any legal consequences in this regard?
For sure. All the victims are going to court. They are going to sue for damages. In Abuja in July this year, the Honorable Justice Muazu of the Federal Capital Territorial Court awarded 200 million naira against the FCT authorities for not complying with statutory provisions. In Lagos last year, in respect of the illegal demolitions that took place in Makoko, the Honorable Justice Ogazi of the Federal Court awarded 3.5 billion naira against the Lagos State government. So you have the opportunity to go to court. But my own pain is that even under the military, the defunct military junta in Nigeria, the Supreme Court made the point that in any country where the rule of law operates, once a court is seized of a matter, the government owes it a duty because it rules by law to ensure that the due process is allowed to run its full course.
Okay, sir.
So we're a government official, a permanent secretary, in defiance of a valid and subsisting court order, says we are going to demolish those houses, nothing will happen. We are going to show this time around that a lot will happen. Nobody is above the law in this country.
Okay, sir.
Now, one, there are decisions of courts that you must comply with the law before you can demolish a house.
Okay, sir. Can you hear me, sir?
The Lagos State government owes it a duty.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah.
Sorry, sir, you see,
Yes, please.
You know, a lot of people look at me and say I'm a very blunt realist. I think that's my problem. And, sir, let me say some things before I ask a question. Nothing will happen, sir. I'm sorry to tell you that to your face with all the years of practice you've had, because it's the level of lawlessness that we've become in this country. Justice is selective, sir. The same country where the police held some people that went to protest based on court order is the same country that the government, when the court order is not in their favor, they violate it. Look at the Abuja you are talking. An Abuja park that was given to some people, the minister, FCT minister, unilaterally revoked. They've destroyed the park today. Young Nigerian ladies that invested in it, today their livelihoods gone. Look at Margaret Lawrence, a university being built. FCT minister went there, they demolished because they had a real estate dispute. All of these issues I'm talking about have been going on for months. But some people are higher than the court. That's why when they say go to court, it's like our dakeri-keri, kabuyeri. It's a joke. That's what our legal system has been. And sir, You see, with due respect, I can take a bet with you on it. Nothing will happen. All those court judgments you have spoken about, have the monies been paid? No. That's the country we live in.
Okay. I can understand where you are coming from. But I can assure you, in order I can inform you, wherever we have been formed, wherever victims of injustice have come to us, we don't turn them out. We ensure that justice is done, even if the heavens will collapse. And I will get back to, even under a military dictatorship, in 1991, when the military guys destroyed Morocco, in order to fill the place and distribute the land among members of the bourgeoisie, we discovered that there were two estates.
All right, sir.
Ikota Housing Estate and Abeson Housing Estate.
Yes, sir.
The victims came to us.
Okay.
And we advised them, go and occupy those estates.
All right, Mr. Falana,
the same government that ejected you from your houses and demolished your properties have those places wasted. And they went there. And we went to court to say, my lord, you cannot eject them without giving them notice, because you have demolished their houses. All actions of government under the constitution shall be remain. And of course, we won that case. Now, let me tell you this. Why it is not possible to get away with some of these atrocious actions is that children were sleeping, women were sleeping.
All right, sir.
You tear gas the houses.
Mr. Falana.
To wake them up forcefully. And
Mr.
then
Falana.
in their presence.
Mr. Falana.
You ask bulldozers to destroy those houses. They cannot be allowed in any country. We are not in Gaza.
All right, Mr. Falana. I'm so sorry. We are completely out of time, as we need to go straight to the pulling out ceremony of the outgone Chief of Defense Staff. But we thank you very much for your time.